It writes like a human, speaks with confidence, but does it actually understand anything? You have seen it chatbots writing essays, offering advice, even cracking jokes. And it all sounds so real, so fluent, so human. But here is the twist none of it is based on actual understanding. These systems don't know what the words mean. They're not thinking, they're not feeling, they're not even aware that they are saying anything at all. So, if that is true, what exactly are we interacting with? In this episode, we are going to explore one of the biggest misunderstandings about AI the belief that language equals intelligence, and we will uncover why this illusion isn't just a technical curiosity. It's something that affects how we work, how we trust, and how we think. By the end, you won't just see AI differently, you will see the power of real human thought in a whole new light. Let's talk about something most people assume about AI that because it speaks well, it must understand what it's saying. I mean, it makes sense on the surface, right? When a chatbot gives you a thoughtful response, writes a persuasive paragraph, or even tells a joke that lands, it feels like there is some kind of mind behind it, some little spark of intelligence or awareness. But here's the thing that feeling, it's an illusion. And it's one of the most important illusions we need to unpack right now. Because what we are really seeing isn't understanding, it's a pattern recognition at a scale and speed that's hard for the human brain to grasp. These large language models like GPT don't know what words mean the way we do. They don't have experiences, memories, or any kind of inner life. They're not forming opinions or making choices. They're just predicting based on trillions of examples of what the next most likely word should be. That's it. No thinking, no awareness, just pure, unrelenting probability. Now, here is where it gets interesting. That kind of probability engine can still produce incredibly convincing results. You can ask it to write a breakup letter and it will nail the tone. You can tell it to summarize a research paper and it will spit out something that sounds like a grad student wrote it. You can even feed it your resume and ask for a personalized cover letter and boom, it delivers. But here is the twist it has no idea what a breakup is. It doesn't know what research means. It has never had a job, applied for one, or cared about success. It's just giving you language that resembles meaning. That distinction between producing language and understanding language is where everything gets blurry. Because as humans, we are wired to believe that if something talks like us, thinks like us, and responds like us, then it must be like us. It's a kind of cognitive shortcut. We do it with pets, with children, with characters in stories. And now we're doing it with AI. But the risk is that we start projecting intelligence where there is none and start trusting systems that don't actually know what they're doing. Take directions, for example. If you asked a person, how do you get from here to the nearest train station? And they give you a route, you would assume they know the place. They've probably been there. They have a mental map. Now, ask a chatbot the same thing. It will give you a route, sometimes even with the landmarks and estimated times, but it doesn't know the location. It doesn't even know what a train station is. It's just mimicking the structure of responses it has seen before. And if the data was off or the prompt was vague, it might confidently give you directions to nowhere. That's what makes this so slippery. The answers sound real, the tone is confident, the grammar is flawless, and because of that, it's easy to confuse fluency with understanding. But they're not the same. And when we blur that line, we risk assigning way more authority to these tools than they deserve. We might rely on them for advice, decisions, or insight, not realizing that behind the curtain there is no comprehension, just a sophisticated mirror reflecting back patterns we fed into it. And don't get me wrong, that mirror can be useful, hugely useful, but we have to be clear eyed about what it is and what it isn't. Because as these tools get more polished, the illusion gets stronger. And if we are not paying attention, we'll start building systems, businesses, even relationships around something that only pretends to understand us. Let's shift gears for a second. One of the strangest things about AI right now is how good it is at sounding human, even though it's completely alien underneath. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel, and yet it crafts sentences that feel thoughtful. That disconnect creates this weird tension. On the outside, it feels like you are having a conversation, but on the inside, nothing is happening. No reasoning, no awareness, no comprehension. It's just language running on rails. And yet, people interact with it emotionally. You ask a chatbot for advice when you are stuck or vent about a problem, and it responds with empathy or at least something that sounds like empathy. It says, I understand how you feel, or that must be really hard. But let's be honest, it doesn't understand anything. It's not being kind, it's not listening, it's not moved by your story. It's just being trained to recognize that when a sentence like yours show up, a sentence like that usually follows. And that's where things start to get risky, not in science fiction terms, but in really ordinary everyday ways. Because we're not just using these tools to generate blog posts or summarize PDFs anymore, we are starting to treat them like companions, like mentors, like therapists. And that shift from tool to a trusted voice is where the illusion becomes dangerous. It's not that AI is evil, it's that it's empty. And we forget that when it talks like it cares. Now imagine this is in a workplace. Someone asks the system for help making a tough decision, maybe hiring someone, maybe rejecting a proposal, maybe even writing a legal policy. The AI spits out a perfectly structured answer. It looks right, it sounds reasonable, but it has no clue what's at stake. It doesn't know company values. It doesn't understand the human impact. It's just remixing patterns it's seen in the training data. And if the data had blind spots or biases or errors, those get quietly baked into the response with a tone of absolute confidence. That's what makes this so slippery. AI doesn't hesitate. It doesn't say, I'm not sure. It doesn't ask for more context. It just answers and answers smoothly. And that smoothness is what fools us. Because in human conversation, when someone sounds certain, we tend to trust them. But with AI, that confidence means nothing. It's not the product of deep thinking, it's just a statistical average of millions of examples. The tone was learned, the structure was learned, but there is no intent behind any of it. What we are left with is something that looks like intelligence, but doesn't feel, not intentionally, not fundamentally like it belongs to your mind. There is no questioning behind the answers, no perspective, no curiosity, and yet we still treat it like there is. We nod along, we take it at face value, and slowly, without realizing it, we let that illusion shape how we think, how we write, even how we interact with each other. Because here is the real kicker, when you spend enough time around something that sounds smart but isn't, your own standards start to shift. You begin to accept surface level responses. You start to mirror that same style, efficient, confident, empty. We don't just feed AI our language. Over time, it starts feeding it back to us, and if we are not careful, we'll start copying the copy of ourselves. Here is something we don't talk about enough. Real understanding isn't just about producing a correct answer, it's about knowing why something matters, when it matters, and to whom it matters. It's the difference between answering a question and grasping the full weight of what the question represents. Machines can mimic answers all day long, but they have no grasp of significance. They can echo language, but they don't feel the pressure of a decision or the consequences of getting something wrong. Think about how you learn hard things. Maybe it was a concept that didn't click at first, or an experience that changed how you saw the world. Real understanding often involves struggle, confusion, frustration, time, and out of that, you don't just memorize the information, you internalize it, you connect it to your own life, you carry it differently. AI doesn't do any of that. It doesn't wrestle with complexity. It doesn't reflect. It doesn't grow. It just outputs based on what it's seen before. And because of that, it doesn't make meaning. That's a human act. Meaning isn't found in data, it's created through context, emotion, and purpose. A machine can generate a sentence that looks meaningful, but it doesn't know if that sentence offers hope, causes harm, or changes someone's mind. It has no goals, no values, no internal compass guiding its use of knowledge. And so, even when it says something profound, It's not because it understands, it's because we do. And that's really the heart of this. These systems don't reveal their limits through glitches or mistakes. In fact, they look their most impressive right when they are operating with the least awareness. But that's where we have to stay sharp because the better they sound, the easier it is to forget this isn't understanding, it's performance. And unless we remember that, we will start outsourcing decisions that require judgment, empathy, and wisdom, qualities no machine can fake forever. But this isn't a cautionary tale about doom. It's a wake up call, a reminder that the real challenge with AI isn't the tech itself, it's what we assume it knows. The illusion isn't in the machine, it's in us. It's in the comfort we take from a smooth answer, in the authority we assign to polished language, in the speed with which we accept what sounds familiar. And if we don't question that reflects, we risk flattening what it means to think at all. So maybe the goal isn't to make machines that understand, but to stay human enough to notice when they don't, to keep asking the deeper questions, to slow down when everything else is speeding up. Because in a world of fluent responses, real understanding might become one of the rarest and most valuable things we still have to offer. In the next episode, we are going to explore what that shift means in the real world, how AI is reshaping work, not by replacing people overnight, but quietly changing what our jobs require, what skills still matter, and how we define value in a machine powered economy. Don't miss it. Thanks for watching.